All right, test, test, test. 1, 2, 3. Let me know if you can hear me in the background, and let me know if. Let me check the audio for the music. That should be about right. I'm gonna have a little bit of a music because I cannot do this without listening to something. Anyway, hope you guys are doing good. What's up, Shrimpy on Twitch? If you guys don't know, we're triple streaming right now. But regardless, like, comment, subscribe. Hit up whatever you're watching, and we'll get going shortly. Let me send out the tweet saying we are live. Not that it matters. We got other important things going on in this world right now, other than a stream about rainbows. But anyway, Sky Rainbow Runner. This is the weekly stream. We do this every Thursday, 8 p.m. Central Standard Time, once a week. We hang out here for an hour, and then we go hop in the Discord, and we go hang out with all my OGs there. You want to find out anything about the code here? It's about 7 years in the making, over 10,000 lines of code. It's good stuff. We got a lot of people. You don't have to trust me. You can go trust the OGs or whatever. Got a lot of people who have been around it for a long time. But go check us out. If you have any questions of what I'm doing or why my charts don't look black and white, that's totally why. It's rainbow-trends.com, and this is all kind of a spin off rainbow theory and Wyckoff theory and quant trading. It's a whole big mess, but we chase where the whales are at, and it tends to help. It's helped me out. So anyway, moving on. Per the usual, this stream is not intended to be used for financial purposes. It's intended to be used as educational purposes only. It's not intended to be used as financial advice. So, first things first, we very, very, very much have a big issue going on that's not getting a lot of coverage as I would imagine. We've had a really, really bad hurricane. And let me text the Discord to you. So I wanted to share something with you. There's a lot of photos and videos of stuff like this. Shout out my guy. I'm just blanking out on his name. Crypto Daddy. He's in this stuff too, running around on a UTV trying to deal with it and absolutely flooding in his neighborhood. So shout out Daddy. I love that dude. He's been around forever, and he's my main motocross Twitter buddy. I'll show you a quick thing of what he's going through, but I got a little lesson here I wanted to share with you guys before we start, because I usually show security breach stuff in the beginning if I can share that, but we haven't had any really big security things. But this is Daddy and where he lives, and this is just really, really bad. Quite a few years ago, I was around for Hurricane Harvey, and we had a lot of flooding, and I was very, very fortunate. My house didn't flood, and my parents' house didn't flood. And at the time, my entire shark fishing group, if you don't know about shark fishing in the surf or surf fishing, we're constantly swimming in the waves and stuff, using kayaks to go fishing, and so we're very adept with rough waters and stuff. So we actually got involved and did a bunch of rescues during Hurricane Harvey, and I inadvertently almost died from it 2 weeks later. I didn't know it at the time, but I contracted a virus during the rescues, which acted like a mild flu for about a week. And then on the 7th day, everything got really, really worse. My vision started blurring, and I started having really out-of-body weird headaches, and ended up getting diagnosed with meningitis. And I spent a few days in the hospital, and was one of those things where it's just basically they don't know if you're going to make it or not, because the tests, by the time the tests are going to come back and tell you what type of meningitis you have, you're either unconscious or you're conscious. Fortunately for me, and there's different types of meningitis. There's viral, there's bacterial. Typically bacterial is really, really nasty, and when you get put in the ER, you pretty much have about 24, 48 hours before you go unconscious. And then it's just a matter if you wake up or not, if they can save you. But I had a viral one, and luckily I had one of the weaker viruses. And even then, that was still one of the worst things I've ever gone through. Woe is me, right? But I just wanted to share with you, like, I almost came to the brink from doing rescues. It's not trying to pat myself on the back or anything here, but I wanted to share something really, really key here, because the things you see a lot with these rescue videos and stuff, and even not the rescue videos, you see people in this water. And I had to learn this the hard way. I grew up near a river and a creek my entire life. I played in dirty creek water year round, minus winter. We played with it my entire life. Never got sick from it, ever. While we were doing rescues in this same looking water, the flood water, which I assumed was the same type of stuff, I inadvertently cut my foot. And we believe that's how I got the infection. Even though my foot never got like infected or anything, we cleaned it, but we believe that's how it happened. What we learned was the virus I get typically lives in the sewage systems. And we were talking to these high-up witch doctors at that point, because I had about 20 doctors that were visiting me and studying me in the whole Ebola hazmat suits. And they informed me, he's like, yeah, don't ever touch flood water. And I was like, what are you talking about? And he's like, what you guys don't realize, these people that are like playing in it, when it's flooding, the sewer systems are underwater as well. And they said everything that lives in those sewer systems comes up and mixes in this water. So whatever you do, you know, some people have to deal with this, some people don't. If you have the option to not touch this water, take that option. That's all I'm going to say. I was young, dumb, stupid, healthy. None of my other fishing dudes got sick doing it. We were running Zodiacs and kayaks around, getting people out of houses and stuff. Stay out of it if you can. And God forbid, one of the things that makes me cringe most in life is when you see people letting their kids play in the floodwater. Don't do it. It's nasty stuff. It looks just like creek water, but it's not. But moving on, just wanted to share that, just lessons learned, because that one stunk, and it's been like 6-7 years, something like that later. I still have like effects from that virus, so don't recommend it. Definitely avoid meningitis. Not fun. And the only weird thing, or the only kind of interesting thing about it, you get to meet doctors that are excited to study you. It gets real weird. You start dealing with these level of doctors that are not interested in curing you. They're interested to study to see like what virus you have, because they want to see interesting, deadly viruses. So medical bills were fun for a few years with that one. But moving forward, we're back to Bitcoin. We've rejected the first resistance block, which we actually got above. And one of my tweets that I posted out about this was talking about these. We started to see whale prints show up, and that's what these notations are that I've got all over here, because this is what part of the post was. Zooming out, we're in the same wild range that we've covered for a very long time. We're now on this back end. What God, I hope is the back end. This could only be halfway through, and we do it for another year or something. But we've started coming back up, and then these whale prints started showing up, and I got really upset with this because I was like, dang it, I don't want to see whale prints showing up once we've cleared a freaking order block. And they showed it. We had 2 of them, and I put out the tweet, and I was like, hey, this is not good. Lo and behold, the 3rd one show up, and then all hell broke loose in the Middle East, and that's all she wrote. I'm not claiming it's in the charts that war was going to break out or whatever, but like, you've got to pay attention to these whale prints, especially when they start showing up close together. It's a very, very easy tell to say this is bad. Everything's bullish looking up, blah, blah, blah. But if you're seeing heavy whale prints, whales selling, it's not good. Especially when they cluster, and that's what these little whale symbols are. So when the algorithm sees like 10, it looks in the past 10 candles. If it sees 3 or more, it throws the cluster there. That was something Pixa picked up trading whale prints a few years ago, and he asked me if we could actually identify the clusters and added the code, and that's where we are. But that's where we're at with it. I don't know what you guys think, but we're now back at resistance. We've got people going on strike, albeit that just ended. We've got the election coming up. We had the VP debate, which it's fun for a week, and then no one will remember it. But we're back at resistance again, and it really, really stinks because we've literally done what this BART was. Way back in the day when we had the yen carry trade blowout, we bought a lot of this, and I bailed on that one. We had little slapdowns here on these whale prints, and then a pair of them showed up that kind of looked like a BART setup, and I was like, I'm out. I was like, I'm not going to mess up getting to buy Bitcoin in this red reversion band because that never freaking happens. But it did. We got up, and I got out, and it retraced, and then we came all the way back up. This isn't really a BART. It's too angled, albeit whatever, but same thing. Whale print started showing up once we got slightly above resistance, and volume and everything else just didn't look nice, and lo and behold, we're back down. So long story short, we should be looking at longing Zcash. If you can't tell, that's what I'm trying to tell you. I'm joking, but it's not cool. But we're back at support, and as of right now, support's holding, which is good. Retesting support and having it support, that's good. We can move back up, right? That's the idea. But that's where we're at. We're at a really, really weird point. It's October, if you didn't know, and October has been anything but up. But as with new trades starting out for the month and all the timely stuff, that's all got to settle out. I usually say wait till Wednesdays, like the phrase I say for that. But that's where we are. We hit this first resistance order block, cleared all the books, and then we came back down. There's not much to say. You are in grind everybody into a pulp mode. We've had 3 decently forecasted signals, and then we got up to resistance and we rejected again. And we have not touched this second order block, which is around 68 to 70,000 since July. And it is now October. So I want to see that. Albeit you could say higher high, inverted head and shoulders. There's a lot of stuff. You've seen the other posts, the other streams. This is a FU chart. It's not typical in any way. What is up, my guy ISO? With the different YouTube handle than before. If you guys don't know ISO, go check out the interview we did a while back. It was a good one. Good dude, good vibes. But we're back here, and it's Chop City. Typically, historically, people are going to start talking seasonality. In general, crypto pretty much does pretty well in Q4s when it's hot. And right now, we're in the time frame in comparison to the halving when it's typically hot. So maybe you guys are going to get shooken out before this thing turns into a real Uptober. But we'll see. We'll see. You need to start live streaming those, dude. Not going to lie. ISO's on YouTube if you're wanting to see his comments. Apparently he's got some bonita today but missed some Albies. But that's where we're at. This is all noise until we start ripping above. We can get really, really excited above all-time high for sure. The only thing is we just got to be really careful is make sure that volume follows through. And I'll show you a setup which actually did this and rejected just like Sol did back in the day. Another thing I wanted to look at, so that's the chart. I'm going to wrap it up there. That's H4. That's our resistance blocks. It's in the dead center of these reversion bands. Whales rejected it after we took this. So literally, if we baited anybody from a slightly newer, higher high than the previous one, you just got wrecked, unfortunately. But one thing I wanted to show here, another thing that's really interesting, because people are starting to talk about like things are not normal, specifically in TradeFi. There's some other things that are normal and are not normal. One thing that's really been interesting is the Mayer multiple has been dragging down because we've been going sideways for so long. If you guys remember this amazing capitulation event, China banned mining and we got the free fall. If you guys don't remember this capitulation, this was one of the biggest liquidation cascades we've ever seen in crypto. We actually saw Kraken go offline. We saw, I don't know about Kraken. We saw Binance go offline. We saw FTX go offline, which is even harder to do because at the time those books were fake. Coinbase actually went offline as well, but surprise, they go offline a lot. Brian, get it together. Albeit I like your legal team. Shout out, Paul. And everybody went offline. And you can see, in general, with Mayer multiple, you start getting into these standard deviations down here, it's like go time. And the worst capitulation we saw in a very long time, going from like 64, 65K all the way down to like 28. And I'm just showing 28, 30 here. Guys, some of those exchanges, when they shut down, they were down in like here. Some of them down here in the books completely collapsed. It was crazy. But it was a bottom. And if you notice where we're at, that's 1, 2, 3 bands down into the greens, right? What's up, Nexus? And typically, we only touch these green bands on the Mayer multiple when we're in like really, 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 really rough bad times. And that's even the actual micro bottom here. Tagged the lower bands, and that was all she wrote. That was 17.5. Right now, we're grinding and into these lower bands. Now, we're not like full-blown market bottom capitulation over here on like the 0.5 standard deviation level, but like Bitcoin's over $60,000, and we're getting into these bands here. Now, we did this stream last time where we actually showed projected like what potentials we can see in a bull run that tops in like 2025 in relationship to the halvings. It's all in the last stream on YouTube if you want to check it. It's on Twitch too, but the YouTube ones are permanent archives. This is something that's really interesting to me because I've never seen this. Tops print on the top side of the Mayer multiple in these bands. These are tops. These are bottoms, right? Rocket science. I know you guys aren't dumb. But I've never seen this. So we're bottoming the Mayer multiple out post-halving at all-time high prints. Albeit we're not all-time high right now. It's right there, 73. But like that, this is interesting. real interesting. I know a lot of people are getting worried about like how the S&P is trading in relation with the VIX. This is not something I've ever seen before studying the Mayer multiple for the entire history of Bitcoin. Like macro bottoms, bottom bands. It calls the bottom every single time. That's the COVID print. That's the macro bottom after the 20K rally. You buy these things. And then typically in bull modes, like when we're in the bull runs, you don't really ever touch this green. So this is the 20K run from like $200 all the way up to 20K. This was one of the most parabolic as F things we've ever seen. It didn't touch the green until the backside when we hit 6,000. Didn't even touch it. We're and here you go. We'll go. This is you call those the bottoms, whatever. This was the original run up to 65K. We did not touch this from March 2022 till May 2021. I'm sorry, March 2020 down to like May of 2021. And we are just grinding into it. So, per the Mayer multiple, this thing's it should start reacting. But we're kind of at like a top. Like everyone thinks this is a top and it's bearish. Realistically, this thing should be printing up here. But it's not. And I hadn't noticed this until this week. And I was kind of taken back by it because no one ever looks at the Mayer multiple, which it's the biggest cheat code ever as long as you can visualize the numbers. And that's why it's the whole reason this indicator exists, because the numbers and the data, if you backtrack it and use it like with an Excel sheet, it hits really, really hard. And it basically says if it's below these numbers, buy. If it's above, I think is it 2.4 standard DP. There's a certain number where they say don't touch it anymore. So anyway, it's moving up. But frankly, this is really going to give you your wall for your all-time high. Bitcoin typically doesn't punch through that band. Typically. And we've seen nothing but less volatility as like more adoptions come. So like we're looking at like right now, max possibility saying it's like 130. Now if we grind up into 2025, bullish, these numbers are going to pull up and you start looking at like 200 potentially coming online. So it's kind of cool. I kind of like this. And it really makes me saying like, yeah, I'm going to buy. Yeah, like if God forbid it does drop in these bands, it's just load up time. And since ISO was asked nicely, do I ever look at Mayer multiple on other stuff? And that is the wrong one to pull up. Let me pull it up on Kraken. All right. I personally don't use the Mayer multiple on other stuff because if I can map myself out on Bitcoin, I know where my alts are going to be. But there are people that do use the Mayer multiple. And you have to remember the Mayer multiple was specifically written for Bitcoin. There are some people that I've actually seen use it for TradeFi. So it typically holds, I guess you could say here as well. It's going to keep it in line, but it's the same story. It's in the green bands, which is typically what you want to buy. But if you're on the backside of like the crypto trend, you can ride these bands down, right? You can have a macro bear market. So, you know, is what it is. Another thing I wanted to show you guys, my guy, Crypto Paradigm. Shout out Huck. Shout out Hugo. It's about to flip on the anchored OBV up into the daily. And that's kind of a big deal. If you look at the old runs back here, or say the old bottoms, this is the 20K top, that's the 3 bottom, that's the 13.5 parabolic run, that's the COVID bottom. Every time we pulled this thing and flipped it green, we went on runs. Run, right? We got backside stuff here for sure, right? But in general, it's gone up, it's pulled back, and now it's starting to curl. Dime caught this, and I was like, whoa, that's actually pretty interesting because we're starting to get this flip. Normal OBV doesn't give you a validation. Mine does a sliding anchor over time, so it gives you like a kind of more of a a range to see a flip between bullish and bearish, and that's where we get this inversion. And the colors are about to invert and keep going up, which would indicate we're about to break up and rip. So if this thing keeps starting to print up on the OBV, it's going to be go time. So anyway, it's really interesting though. If you go look, another thing, I normally show the ETF flows, which have just been awful lately. I don't want to cover that. But what's interesting is while the ETF flows have been crazy, 100K Deribit calls are reaching $1 billion in open interest. $1 billion. And you can go check it out on CoinDesk, but it's getting pretty crazy. It's, while the market sentiment's bad, option traders are pushing it harder. If you go and look at the open order books, there's just a gigantic wall above us. We have to knock through this or have them cut it down. And they've had these walls for a pretty long time. This entire range, Coinbase has just layered in their sells, and it's been a little bit of just chasing both sides. One interesting thing I wanted to show you, you guys know how I talk about martingales and catching bids. I want to call out this Binance whale because you're chicken. We got that pretty interesting wick here down to like 60,000, and then they deployed a full martingale. And they only held it for like a day or so, and then they pulled it. But he saw capitulations, he saw the pullback, and then he deployed a martingale to catch it in case this really went to hell, and then he chickened out and closed it. Then you started seeing the liquidity hunts on the linear, the trades. But this is what you call a martingale when they do this. So he had like 50, yeah, just about every one of these lines is 50 Bitcoin worth of entry. It's a big whale, very big. This is a spot order book. I call him a chicken. This dude's got Lambos, but I digress. We'll see. It's actually getting a little pumpy here on the 1 hour. The dock strike is over. Maybe war's starting to chill out. We'll see. I don't know. Anyway, moving forward. If you guys did know, Motocross Destinations is this weekend. If you're going runner, what the hell is Motocross Destinations? It is the Olympics of motocross. Every country comes to Motocross Destination and they bring their 3 best riders. They don't have to technically be born there, but they typically are. And we've had a bit of shuffling on the American team. We've had some injuries take some people out. Originally, it was going to be Chase Sexton, Hymus, and Cowboy. If you can guess which one's Cowboy, you get extra bonus points today. But he's the only one who didn't get injured. So our guy, Eli Tomac, who's my son's favorite rider of all time, even though he's only been watching motocross for like a year, he's stepping in. It's probably we've probably got one more year out of him before he's going to retire, and he's going to retire as one of the greatest motocross racers of all time. We're going to get to see him at Motocross Destinations and hoping he brings the championship home again. We also have Cooper Webb. He's a 450 champion, and the 250 rider, if you didn't know, for Destinations, they bring one 250 rider and 2 450s. Eli is a 450 rider, but they needed someone to fill in on a 250. He says, you know what? Give me the 250 bike. I'll take it. Let's go. And they're going to go race, and it's going to be amazing. So these are some of the coolest dudes that have ever ridden a motorcycle, let alone some of the fastest people that walk the earth, and they're going to go ride. And they're just the coolest dudes ever. And Eli Tomac's a real kind of quiet guy. He's one of the strongest physical motocross riders of all time. And he can do stuff on a bike that most people can't even dream of. And I wanted to show this. This is when he was more of a rookie. This is when he was riding 250s on a Honda. This is in slow-mo. He's doing wheelies in probably 5th gear, probably going over 50 miles an hour through a rhythm section. And I wanted to show this because this is just... I don't know if you've ever ridden a motorcycle, let alone a dirt bike. I can't fathom how this is possible.
It was just a track you had to ride loose on, at least there was lines out there to make little moves and get by guys. And it's such a technical track, you almost had to wait to make a pass. So got to second and held on.
All right, congratulations. Thank you.
For some
smooth ground to ride on.
My God.
Nice.
Wow, that was pretty.
Check this wheelie out through the roller section. I mean, and this is, he was going so fast.
A lot of people can't comprehend how hard it is to ride these bikes. This is, you can see him adjusting the throttle every jump, his body weight, and he's going like 50, 60 miles an hour in a race.
That was awesome.
Anyway, had to show that because I'm super excited. I love these three dudes. They're awesome. That's a Yamaha rider, Yamaha, and a KTM, so it'd be really cool. But moving on, does that have anything to do with trading? Absolutely not, but it's really cool. Kinley B with YouTube asked, what's a martingale? That's a long discussion. We've covered in some of the other streams, but I'll tell you what, if you hit us up in the Discord, the roundtable talk after the stream's over, we'll cover it. I'll go over it one-on-one, and you can ask questions, and it's open mic, so you can fire up your mic. Wanted to go to this. This was kind of the title of the stream. The time frames are changing. One of my guys, Gammy-chan, has started playing with the Rainbow Trends tools, and this is something he's been talking about as a coin called SWI. And some of the other traders and other groups that are also rainbow friendly, right? Shout out Pep and Stacks. They've been talking about SWI as well. So is Moonshot. Love my Moonshot dudes. And it's been absolutely ripping. From this low, this is like a 170% run on spot. Typically, you would not want to short this, but if you look at Rainbow Theory, these are pink candles in the reversion bands rolling over on colors. That's a sign the trend is weakening while everyone's trying to FOMO into it. When I say FOMO, that's a lot of volume. Gammy shorted this and nailed the top. And he was looking at it, and he's like, he was looking at it, I think, on 2 hour or 4 hour time frame. And he's like, am I going crazy, or does this look like a top? And as we covered earlier on Bitcoin, you don't see a single bearish whale print. Ding, 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 ding. There's a pair of them. So I said, hey, Gammy, you need to zoom out. It's actually what you're coming up against. You can't see it on the 2 hour and the 4 hour. You actually are entertaining the all-time high order block. And that's what we're getting into, oops, right there. And the one thing that I wanted to point out while I bring the jams back is they wicked it and they rolled over. And you can see heavy selling if you go to the higher time frame. So one of the things I've noticed is as the Bitcoin trend is playing out, and we've been able to keep up with it on the 4 hour, we're starting to see a lot of the alts move, but their support and resistance is approaching old daily supports, stuff you're not going to see on the lower time frames, and that's probably too loud of music. Back that down. And it's pretty interesting because we're starting to see it across the board, and that was one of the things I saw on Ethereum. So shout out Gammy. Dude is constantly posting on Twitter stuff that makes me jealous, and his dad's got my dream street bike, NSR 500 or 250, I don't remember. He's got a 500, I think. But anyway, that's what's starting to see, and Ethereum was something, we go back and I zoom out on the daily. Ethereum's been on a really unfortunate downtrend. But, ding, 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 we're seeing support on the daily order block. And we're seeing resistance on the mid-range order block on the dailies. So when I'm looking at this on the H4, it's a little harder, but if you zoom out and look at the H24, the daily, it's bouncing here between these two. So the decision is going to be, not decision, but necessarily my expectations are, don't get worried about the chop, but we really, 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 really need to pay attention if we start getting daily closes there or here. But it gives us our footprint until this breaks. These are horizontal. They're going to stay horizontal, and we have to rip through this. So I'm still leaning bullish going into Q4. More than happy to be wrong and buy more Bitcoin on spot. But that's where I'm looking at it. I'm starting to look at dailies, and the fact that the lower cap alts are respecting it too is kind of more confirmation of that bias. If we break down, we're going to go back and look for some really, really nasty support, which I don't want to look at, but I want to see Ethereum show some life. What was saying ISO? Yeah. Buy signals on ETH and BTC. If you want to look at it, you could say that's an inverted head and shoulders. That's what Josh would say, maybe. And that's technically a higher low. Third higher low, maybe. But this is where you see people that like, not people, but people like, oh, only the charts matter. Conflict in the Middle East does affect the price of oil and Bitcoin, whether you think it does or not. But let me drop down to H4, because H4 is my fave. If you don't know why H4 is my fave, go study 9K. He's awesome. He told me something a really long time ago, and it stuck with me. He goes, H4 is the time frame where the shorters meet the swing traders, and it's true. So it's kind of a universal time frame where the short scalpers meet the long range traders. But this is so. We have a capitulation wick here. This was the yen carry trade. Not going to cover that. That's been covered a million times by people smarter than me, as well as me. I've done it. And we bounced. This was an automatic setup. Pink RSI, white candles, in a reversion band with a bottom print, plus whale prints. Like everything I've got regarding Rainbow Theory, it's there to buy that. And we did buy it. It bounced. The home run setup was tag on the other side. If we were going for a yin-yang setup, that didn't happen. We bounced. We came all the way back down, and we kissed support again. Bounced. Went back up, and just rolled over again. In general, ISO, to your question, I don't really make entries between this and this. I don't mess with that. It's just chop. And the fact that they've had so many well prints and so many real world events start to hit, I'm not looking to do that. My scalpers and stuff may be coming in and trying to do that, but to be honest with you, Ethereum's not really been a mover. Bitcoin's even been more volatile. But we'll see. I mean, we do have a string of well prints that support it, but last time we had conflicts in the Middle East really start popping up, everything got skittish and people flight to safety. You can get 5% APR sitting in stables. It's really nice to just wait things out sometimes, but regardless, that's the look on the lower time frames. But moving on, we're at the halfway mark. My guy Bitfloor Ghost, I love this dude. He posted this week, says seek queued animal, figure out what the name of it is, go to Dex Screener, type in the name, find the token, buy the token. This, guys, is my quant. I posted that this week because every time I go over and see what Stacks and Pep are up to, I swear they're looking at the craziest on-chain stuff, and I feel like this is the representation of them trading on Dex Screener. This has nothing to do with crypto, but I wanted to show this video because this guy climbed the rafters of a basketball court to get a ball. This is at least a broken bone and aches for the rest of your life. If those pipes break, it's probably covered in the nastiest dust, but check out how he got up there because you can actually see how he did this, which is just amazing. Some people are born with wires crossed in their brain. There are some rock climbers that just don't have fear. Like, it's not wired and like it doesn't process fear, and it's pretty interesting. Like, they're cognizant of like stuff can hurt them, but they have no fear. So, raising two kids. I had one kid who was scared of heights, but would climb stuff, and I had one that was not scared of heights and would climb stuff. That's a water line. Like, this is nuts. But he climbs down the basketball, which I'm actually kind of asking. I assumed he can jump up. Good lord. I guess he jumped up there. I don't know. That's crazy. But yeah, that's scary. But back to Bitfloor's post. See a cute animal, find the name, go to the Dex Screener, type in the name, buy the token. I have to ask, when do we rotate to sharks or aquatic based? Moon Ding or whatever the hippo is somewhat aquatic. And I wanted to bring this up because this is a cool post. Sharks are friends, sharks every day. I'm pretty sure these sharks every day do hate me because I'm a shark fisherman, but I do tag and release. But if you guys don't know this shark, it's called the sandbar shark. They're kind of a colder shark, water shark. They travel all around the world, and they have these absolutely ridiculous sized dorsal fins for their size. This is probably a 6-7 foot shark. That is the size of a dorsal fin you would find on like an 11-foot, 12-foot tiger shark. They're really, really cool. And I've caught a bunch of them all across the Gulf. And then this is just the king. This is the sickle fin of a greater hammerhead. And this is the coolest animal in the ocean besides an orca. Love these things. Caught a few of these and tagged them. And actually, when I was a child, the biggest animal I've ever seen in my entire life was a 13, 14-foot one of these we saw offshore. And actually came and breached the surface. Ate our bait and took off, and we never saw it again. But with that being said, bluefin tuna coin, absolutely. Talk to Jared. We need to have a sushi derivative, which is the components of the sushi, the seaweed, the rice, the tuna. And moving on to the worker strike. I know I posted this. I know everyone's posting this guy, but I had to show this to my wife. And the Staten Island union boss, I just had to say it. If you envisioned what this guy would look like, he looks and talks exactly like you would expect a union boss from Staten Island to talk about. And it's absolutely amazing. And people were making fun of him and everything. The dude got the deal done today and got the 62% raise.
These people today don't know what a strike is. When my men hit the streets, from Maine to Texas, every single port will lock down. You know what's going to happen? I'll tell you. First week, be all over the news every night, boom, boom. Second week, guys who sell cars can't sell cars because the cars ain't coming in off the ships. They get laid off. Third week, malls start closing down. They can't get the goods from China. They can't sell clothes. They can't do this. Everything in the United States comes on a ship. They go out of business. Construction workers get laid off because the materials aren't coming in. The steel's not coming in. The lumber's not coming in. They lose their job. Everybody's hating the longshoremen now because now they realize how important our jobs are. Now I have the president screaming at me, I'm putting a Taft-Hartley on you. Go ahead. Taft-Hartley means I have to go back to work for 90 days. That's a cooling off period. Do you think when I go back for 90 days, those men are going to go to work on that pier? It's going to cost the company's money to pay their salaries. Well, they went from 30 moves an hour maybe to 8. They're going to be like this. Who's going to win here in the long run? You're better off sitting down and let's get a contract and let's move on with this world. And in today's world, I'll cripple you.
It's amazing. You can have your thoughts on what the unions are or whatever. This is like a guy straight out of out of a movie. The goatee couldn't be any more perfect. People were giving him crap. This dude was having the president call him directly to negotiate, and he got the job done. So all these people making fun of him. Oh, he's a rich guy, blah, 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 blah. I wouldn't want a union boss living out of a trailer park negotiating with the president. All I'll say. The dude got the deal done and rocking a gold chain, tattoo sleeves, and the finest cut goatee I've ever seen in my life. And you got to see the market kind of reacting and getting scared with it. A lot of people are starting to get worried. Costco got raided. Empty shelves, allegedly, whatever. Maybe your chicken bakes are gone. I guess I'm assuming chicken bakes aren't imported, but they might be. Anyway, S&P is kind of pulled back. We have instability in the East, Middle East. You guys know my general stance. I just hate war in general. Dogs have got life figured out. Humans are the worst. Maybe that's why dogs don't live long. They've got life figured out, but it takes us a while. We had 2 pullbacks. We're back to all-time high. Is it an AI tech bubble? Who freaking knows? I don't really have a read on S&P until Middle East calms down, and by the time that likely calms down, we're going straight into election mode. Throw your volatility deadness out the window. It's going to be volatility time, and it's going to be rip or break. I don't have to stress about it. It's nice. Speaking of AI, because the king of this S&P is really NVIDIA, And we've actually seen NVIDIA show some weakness. Albeit, zoomed out, I say weakness. Yeah. Up, only volume out the frickin' wazoo, right? Not a shocker, but we did start seeing a wedge, and we have a wedge. What's up, Mim? It's wedging, volatility's composing, and eventually, now, we drew this a while back, a week or so ago. I'm not a huge wedge trader, but I know when this is going to pop, so the next thing I'm going to advise you on, this is going to make or break up or down. Note that whales will sometimes go, ha ha ha, get everybody to long it, and then they go down and fake everybody out. Be careful of the fake out. And just watch it. Right now, it's in the middle. I don't like playing there, but we do have a wedge, and it's pretty clear, pretty easy trend lines, and I do have log on, but yeah. We have to watch this one. It's pretty interesting. Really interesting. They're actually talking about NVIDIA CEO, all their chips, everything. It's amazing. Demand through the roof. It's insane. They're actually bringing back old power plants, nuclear power plants, back online just to power these data centers. When I say data centers, it's freaking CPU warehouses that run all of these language models. So all your Groks, your Chat GPTs, like look at Twitter's Grok and how amazing it is. Go back and look at the amount of NVIDIA's graphics cards, processing units that Elon diverted from Tesla to Twitter to be able to make that. It's a lot of horsepower. But I don't ever look at uranium, but I'm looking at it now. It's bottomed twice, weaker colors here. This is a crazy catch into these reversion bands. It actually touched the orange band, which is unreal, and it's moving back up. So let's see if they keep firing up uranium power plants. Maybe it's finally go time for this thing. I know a lot of people did really well with this, pulled back, major pullback. Maybe this is it. This is not really a typical. Wyckoff charts aren't really screaming at me at this, but you definitely see layered support here on the daily at like 25, so we'll see. But anyway, that's awesome, RMF. You caught those? Yeah. I'm always impressed of how Europe is so against it. And I get it that, yeah, they had Chernobyl on their deck. That's a different, easy thing for me to say, but Germany's shutting down nuclear power plants and firing up coal power plants, and then they cry about how long it takes to fire up nuclear, because I think it takes like 4 years, or is it 6 years to bring one online, let alone design one. But if you just keep having that mentality, you never get to bringing them online. We can argue global warming. I just don't like nasty, smoky air regardless. I like the green rock. But anyway, I have reported I am going to be buying a new generator this week for the beach fishing, which means we have to cover Generac because that's the Doppel coin. And we had a hurricane, and hurricane season's coming to an end. The water temperatures in the Gulf and the Caribbean are cooling down. Your volatility in your storms is going to be lowering, but I think it still goes up into like October-ish. But regardless, it's kind of interesting to see these order blocks and how they've been ranging on Generac. You kind of have your little cheat sheets here. There's your support, there's your resistance, and it's been bouncing. Is it perfect? No. Are the tops and bottoms perfect? Pretty damn good. But regardless, you'll notice this is a lower sweep on Generac and a straight send up. And we are now above. Now this was a BART. That was kind of a BART. That was an earnings crazy surprise. They got knocked down, and you can see the whale print there where the whales came in and go, But I want to show something here. Weak colors, accelerating colors. I like accelerating colors that break resistance, and I like volume showing up. So if Generac starts walking away from this range, I'm not going to consider that part of the range, but it's really been in the range since like April of 2024. I'm going to get really interested if this starts walking up and at least just starts closing candles above these pivots. I'm going to be looking for a move up and out. And then we get to really, really go long generators into the winter. Which is going to be great, right? The French love nuclear. I like the French, dude. I'm currently working. If you guys have seen me like off Twitter for a bit, not really posting. I've probably done 60 hours of work this week. I'm demobilizing a current project that I just had come in from 2 months offshore, putting everything back together, getting it ready. And then I'm building a cluster F of a project of something that's never been done before for oil field. And of course, I get to be the R&D engineer to make this thing work. So it's eating my life away, but if I deliver this one, it's going to be really cool. Anyway, I can't really talk about it because it would definitely give away a bunch of stuff because it's so unique. If you've been in the Discord for a bit or a big follower of our guy Doppel, he's been very, very, very keen on 18A. And this is not me making clout or trying to engage posts. I listen to Doppel. I can understand about 60% of what he says when he starts talking technical specs. Then he gets frustrated when I don't understand it. Love you, Dop, but I have no idea how these things work. It's beyond electrical engineering. I'm a mechanical engineer, damn it. And anyway, he's been talking about 18A. 18A is the pivot of the Intel chipset, which is they're betting their company on because their company's struggling right now. Intel's really, really low. And 18A is going to be really their AI chipset in horsepower chipset that changes the infrastructure of their current hardware, which has problems, and it fixes a lot of their issues. I got to see a picture of 18A this week for the first time ever, and it is a thick boy. This is a thick boy processor with a ungodly amount of pins. The only thing that looks like this is like an AMD commercial Threadripper. Now, mind you, this is probably a Xeon spec for ultimate like server database hardware shit. Like you would never buy this and put it in your laptop, but it's cool to see that because I haven't seen a processor that big in a very long time. And God help me if it's a low wattage one, and this is actually the monster we get to put in our computers. You're gonna see me play Age of Empires at such a high frame rate. It's gonna be amazing. But moving to Intel. Intel has been on a downtrend. And if you know me, my thesis is Intel's not going anywhere long term. I don't think Intel's gonna close their doors. It's the same thing. I don't think Ford's going to go to zero. I think Ford's going to mess up stuff with their EVs. And I think they're going to pivot, and I think they're going to bounce back. It's a long-term position. But you know me. I buy whites and reversion bands. And this popped. And I should have taken it when they had this. This was going to be like a 20-30% scalp because my entry was like right freaking there. But the yen carry trade blew out. Earnings were blown out. Intel had a hell of a day. And hell of a year, especially with the chips burning up. And we actually printed white candles into the reversion bands, which is insane. And you actually see the machine learning reversion bands pulling way south and learning that Intel can be way more bearish than we've ever seen it in its entire chart history. And we may have found a bottom. And you guys know the old Trend Spider video we did last week? The Intel CEO bought $250,000 on spot there at like $19 or $20, like right in this range here. The CEO bought. So the CEO did not buy any of this, didn't buy any of this. The CEO of Intel bought right here. CEOs sell stock all the time. Like Mark Zuckerberg sells $10 million worth of Facebook damn near every single day. It's not a shocker that CEOs sell. It's real weird when Zuckerberg buys Meta or Facebook, whatever you want to call it these days. It's real interesting. The CEO bought on one of the worst days of Intel's entire life. So that tells me the CEO of Intel thinks they're going to make it too. Long-term trade. This is definitely not a scalp. Now, if you want to scalp this stuff, sure. These are big, big swings. If you've got the stones to trade these colors, you can do it, and there's people that do it all the time in the Discord. The time frames that Pixa and everyone and Fletch use scare the crap out of me, but that's their thing. So, looking at the time, we're at 8:51. All right. So, another thing I wanted to show, if you guys don't know, this is the Git book that I've been building for Rainbow Trends. It's kind of like the not the dark web. Fire up Tor and log into Rainbow Trends. Now, This is the Wikipedia basically of all the different stuff, all the different tutorials, because at this point, we're over 10,000 lines of code. We're 7 years into this. We've got so much stuff. I've really got to compile all the documentation, and I'm working on it. And I'm doing videos and then lining out every single piece, every single feature, explaining every single thing. And I'm doing it tool by tool. And I've noticed that I get into a groove with the streams and I can do tutorials real quick. And I want to show you guys this breakdown of the machine learning reversion bands. And I just realized I probably shouldn't do this because we have 1.3 coming out with alerts. Ugh. I just messed that one up. Regardless, if you don't know how these work, I'm going to do a quick demo anyway because this is one of the greatest tools we've ever used. This one's printed a lot of money for a lot of traders. So in general, there is reversion bands where stuff finds support, stuff finds resistance. And I'm going to hide the machine learning ones. I just said I would. I'm sorry. That's the color. The opacity does not matter on the color. Swing and a miss. You can adjust the transparency with these, right? Damn it. This is not going well. I'm going to just fix that in 1.3. I'm going to make these where you can hide each band. But regardless, the point is there's... I'll do it without hiding the other stuff. There's green, which is the top band. There's red, which is the bottom. This is support. That's resistance. That's nothing new. There's a lot of traders that have done really well with just these bands. And the bands here, the red and the green, those are the typical reversion spots where you will see major moves reverse. Right? Very, very good. Now, when you start getting into volatility with other low caps or animal-themed coins or random stuff that PEP and ZEP and ISO are looking at, you can get more volatility. And that's where this other band comes in. This is a machine learning band. If I was a scammer, I would call it an AI band, but it is legit machine learning. And what this means is this chart looks back every single candle. Whether that's 10,000 candles on the chart, it looks at every single piece of data. And what it does is it looks for where the green band has been touched. And if the green band has been touched, it starts learning. And this is the exact moment on the SWE chart where you see these bands learning. This algorithm cost me brain cells because I was in a brain fog for over a month once I actually got it online. But it's been invaluable. You can see that we have these pink candles on this initial SWE run. This is the first time SWE has ever really touched these bands. And the algorithm goes, hey, something is happening here. And we're learning that SWE can actually hit these bands. And you can see at that exact moment, right here, where they diverge up and start pulling out, that's where it starts learning. And it's saying, hey, this is really the wall now if we really want to talk about strongest movements of all time. And you can see here, here's another push into those bands. It learns again and says, hey, SWE whales are an actual legit thing. And now you actually get to see machine learning trading in action. Here's your green band, which is the standard, getting completely destroyed by whales here and pushing into the cyan machine learning bands. But guess what? The cyan bands held because they've now learned that this is the area in which whales will pretty much release. And why does it say that? It's because this is the never been done before territory. Every time you push me, I'm going to pull my markers back. And you shouldn't be able to do that unless you become a stronger whale. But what it does is over time it learns, hey, that's really the strength of a SWE whale. And it looks pretty crazy here because I don't have it on log, and I'm doing this so you can see it better. So in reality, normal moves, still red and green. Really, really kicking ass moves, this thing knows SWE whales will reverse around here. And guess what? That's what we're doing right now. Pop, pop. When we go to higher time frames, that's what those are. We're hitting those again. So that's really where we were hitting them. It kicked the bands up. Let me turn log back on so it's not so crazy and kill the chart. But that's how these things work. And this is also something that triggered Gammy-chan over pushing to Gammy, saying, hey, Gammy, it's actually hitting these reversion bands and it's rolling over on the lower time frames. Might be a top. And it was. There's your Pico touch. Pop. And it didn't really adjust the bands from there, but it knows that's your never been done before territory. So I can turn off all the rainbows. You can have a really nice black and white chart. You tell me which candle was supposed to be popped in the middle of that trend, which ones were going to be the Pico top. Then you layer in the reversion bands and you can see it now. So I hope that makes sense. That's been one of the coolest things we've ever done, and it's the first time I've ever had to make an algorithm learn over time. And this was one of the things, this is one that's going to take a while to get on TrendSpider because we need a lot of data. It's a big ask. The other indicators typically don't pull that. But anyway, moving on. I'm going to get the 1.3 updated to where it actually gives you the alerts and puts markers on these when they start touching the band, so you can kind of do your own little martingale games when stuff's getting violated. But with that being said, we're going to go head over to the Discord, hang out with the OGs. It's 9 o'clock. I'm going to turn off the stream. We're going to fire up the Discord, and I can pull up my charts. You can show your charts. You can come hang out with all of us. Have a great old time. If you're saying, Runner, how do I get to the Discord? Rainbow Trends website at the top, because Discord links are always kind of changing, but we have an OG link here that never changes. The very top of rainbow-trends.com. You can go check out the Discord community and be there and come say hey, ask me questions, ask the OG questions. It's a good old time. But anyway, I'm going to go. Rainbow Runner out. Thanks again. I'll see you guys. I may not see you guys next week. I think we may be going camping. Maybe I'll push it to Wednesday. We'll see. Or maybe I can live stream from the beach. Anyway, I'll see you then. Please like, comment, subscribe. Spam the hell out of YouTube because it helps the algo. Not that I said that to the CEO of YouTube. Be organic.